right. Good morning, everyone. By far, this is the most professional version of this little shindig I've given. I've given a few at Notre Dame. A few at Notre Dame, St. Mary's College, which is the girls' college just across the street from Notre Dame, University of Michigan, as well as a little seminar via iChat to my cousin's 7th grade class in Omaha. So it's great to be involved, and thanks again for having me, Aaron. I really appreciate it. Let's see if this system works. Okay. So basically, can I get a feel for the students in the room? Who's going abroad in the near future? Mostly Europe, or yeah, countries. Just toss them out. England, Ireland, Wales. I'm half Welsh, so that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. We got a nice little snippet. Anybody who has studied abroad and who's come back? Yeah, okay, great, very cool. So basically what this slideshow is going to be about is just a photo montage of my travels with my family, but also independently, and I've built it up so that there's a lesson behind each individual slide that we'll kind of go through briefly, and hopefully you'll be able to take something from it, you know. All right, so like Aaron said, I've traveled to Europe every summer of my life. Growing up, I didn't really enjoy it. I'd always miss the pizza parties with my friends back home, all their birthday parties, field days, you know, at the end of the school year. So I really hated it. You know, so my dad would go to Europe every year about Easter time and not come back till August. So to kind of break up that trip, it was me, my mom, and my sister going to visit him wherever he might be. Before long, I realized that, let's see, yeah, that's me and my sister. Before long, I realized that these trips that we were doing were really a publicity stunt. You know, wherever Mad Cow was, we'd go there. Wherever Hoof and Mouth was, we'd go there. I'm only coming to realize that now. But what his mission was to kind of show Americans that it's much safer to travel in Europe than it is even in the States. You know, I was just in Cincinnati, and I'd feel much more comfortable walking around any European city than any American city at night, really, especially South Bend, Indiana, where Notre Dame is. But growing up, we've played everything from Grumpy Teenagers on my dad's show to Swiss Santa Claus. Funny story about this: Santa Claus in Switzerland has like an evil sidekick that actually whips you if you're a bad boy. So not only do you get a piece of coal, but you get like wounds as well. And he rides a donkey instead of a sleigh. So that's pretty funny. But like I said, traveling with Rick Steves is quite an ordeal. Everything, of course, has to be dramatic with him for the TV show, as you can see with the pained looks from everybody here in the crowd. You know, but it was looking back on it, it built a lot of character, I guess you could say. Shortly after this picture was taken, he tried to charge the field and was nearly tackled by all the security around there. This is actually Croke Park. Shout out to Ireland here in Dublin, where all the Dublin sports teams play. So, growing up, I had been to Europe 18 times by the time I graduated high school, plus once in the womb, and then come graduation, I graduated on a Sunday and left that Tuesday with my best buddy, Alex. You can see from my expression, I was terrified. I didn't really know what I was getting into. This was a 6-week trip. I had never traveled independently before, and I was really hoping that I knew how to get around, you know. And we did. It was a learning experience for sure, but really enjoyed it. What we realized from day one is it's a completely different continent. You know, there's more bikes in Amsterdam than there are people, you know, and diamond sellers will actually give you the time of day when you're a teenager wearing shorts, you know, so that was great. But what we realized was it's so easy to get around Europe. Definitely when you go abroad, make sure you take advantage of the infrastructure, the awesome infrastructure when you're over there. Check out cheap flight airlines, as well as overnight bus trips, anything, you know. It makes it so easy to get around. So. Oh, great. Jeez. Okay, sounds good.
And you can walk around.
All right, perfect. Like I said, this is way more professional than anything I've ever done. But we're getting big time here. Let's see if this goes. Should have worn the button up. All right. I think that'll work. All right, so we took, give me the thumbs up back there if it works out. But, so we took a train trip to Paris, caught some awesome competition here. Actually, they were going for the 2012 bid for the Olympics, it looks like. And so there were all sorts of festivals and everything going on in the city. And this is a recurring theme that I'm going to talk about over the next few minutes is let travel happen to you. So after Paris, we decided to take a night train down to Madrid, which actually happened to be the day they legalized gay marriage. So it was a gigantic festival out in the streets. We made some new friends, and then by the time night fell, we figured it'd be good to get out of town, and it took another night train over to the south of France in Monaco, where we did learn that Ferraris still do get tickets. You know, we looked for Nemo for a little while. Awesome aquarium if you're into that. I don't know if you find yourself in Nice, in the Nice area in southern France. Then we took a train down to the Cinque Terre. Anybody been? Yes, you know, it's probably one of the most stunning coastlines that you'll ever see in your life. If you're an outdoors kind of person, like you guys have to be, you guys go to BYU. Definitely hike between the different towns. Cinque Terre translates to 5 lands, which means there's 5 little towns kind of hidden away in these coves. And back in the day, there used to be pirates in the Mediterranean, of course, and that's what these lookout towers were for, to warn the town of incoming pirates that were going to raid their town. So they'd sound the alarm, and then everybody would run up into the hills to hide away from these guys. But luckily, there's no more pirates in the Mediterranean, and it's just a beautiful little town there. So let's see, and make some new friends. This is a funny story, actually. I picked up cycling when I was just graduating from high school, and of course Lance Armstrong was big back then. He was going for number 7, I think, so that's my left eye. Then Alex, my buddy, we actually scoped out where the Tour de France was going to be. As our trip was going around, we made sure we intersected, you know, and so we went to this little hill town in France, started hitchhiking at 6:30 in the morning, got picked up by 2 crazy Belgians who had already picked up 2 crazy Koreans, and then threw us in the mix. So I hope this will play. All right. Hopefully it's not too loud, so forgive me if it's... This is a little video. Of course, in a European car, you only have 4.5 seats, and there were 6 of us in there. But they're rocking out to Belgian folk music right now. Yeah. There, so we just are going up the side of the mountain here. It's quite a party. And then they start yelling encouraging words to the people who are riding up earlier than the Tour de France actually comes through. So it's quite an experience. I'll just let it play. But again, this goes into let travel happen to you. Here they go. Anybody speak French? Yeah, they're just saying, you guys can do it, go faster. But, there we go. And then, as the day goes on, we go hike up the mountain, take that gondola up, and find a good place to perch out. And the excitement builds as the helicopters off in the horizon kind of get closer and closer that are broadcasting the TV stream. And so, like, you guys might not be into cycling or watching guys in spandex ride up a mountain, but for me, like, it gets me pretty pumped. So what we're doing here is we're up on a ridge, and to kind of watch them come up, then we run all the way down to the side of the street. I promise it'll slow up here in a little bit. Yeah. So we waited probably 6, 7, 8 hours to catch like 2 seconds to Lance Armstrong. But it was pretty cool. He ended up doing very well on the stage that day, so it was pretty exciting. That's my friend Alex, that's not me, I promise. But there's Lance in the blue. But, so that's what you get for waiting for like 6 hours in one day. But it's pretty cool. It's like a mobile festival, and throughout the day there's just a huge caravan tossing out freebies. And let's see if I get the next slide. But like I said, find things that excite you whenever you're in Europe and get into it. Like, how else would I be hanging out with a French grandma who enjoys watching guys in spandex just the same as I do, you know? So we got to talking, and it was really cool because you kind of, not only are you doing something you enjoy, but you meet people who enjoy the same thing at the same time. So that's something to take away from that. And then we went back up to Swiss Alps, caught a Swiss traffic jam, almost got run over. This is the town one more up from the place where I was a Swiss Santa Claus the year before. So then we took a night train down to Rome, and then another night train straight to Sicily. I wouldn't recommend doing 2 night trains in a row because you stink by the end. But has anybody seen The Godfather? So you'd recognize this Corleone, you'd recognize that name. And I enjoyed The Godfather, so I was like, oh, let's go check out that town. Turns out it was a ghost town. That's me being the Godfather right there. But funny thing about this town is like it's yay big, and then the cemetery is yay big. It's just like the same size. So it was seriously a ghost town. We could feel the eyes behind the shutters kind of follow us around because obviously we didn't belong. We were wearing shorts and Nike t-shirts. But again, I kind of sought something else out that was unique to my own interests, and really kind of took away from it. We had a great lunch in a little restaurant that had a picture of the Godfather and served pizza right next to it. So that's about as much room as they had in that little place. But that was I enjoyed that. Then we took a bus back to Palermo and flew out the next day back to Rome. So that was my first independent trip, and then over the next 2 summers, I tour guided for my dad's business as an assistant tour guide. When I think about it, kind of funny. Like that was a lot of responsibility, and but now I'm actually getting into it. It was a great learning experience, and it was fun to begin to teach people my my approach to travel and see what could happen. The light's not the best on this one, but we were in Rome for the World Cup 4 years ago. Which was like the finals. So it actually got really, really crazy. Yeah, you can see there. This is the Circo Massimo, which is where if anybody's seen Ben-Hur, it's where they used to race the chariots. There are 300,000 people there with 3 jumbotrons on the other side. And of course, every goal people would score, people would begin to take shots and then light off fireworks, you know. And by the end of this, at the end of the hill, or at the top of the hill, they began lighting off mortars, and of course, inevitably, it fell over and shot out straight into the crowd. I enjoy those kind of dangerous experiences, but I had like 6 tour members with me, so I was like, let's get out of here, you know. And this was the scene for the rest of the night. If you can't see, it's a guy with a Italian flag on the back of a moped with the air horn in his hand. So those were going just till 5 or 6 in the morning, just circling around. So that was exciting. Be open to new cultural experiences. Everybody's always heard about bullfighting. I wanted to kind of see what the fuss was about, and so I went, I saw it. I try not to judge, but by the end of it, I was just like, I'm glad I went once, but probably won't go again. What's interesting to me to note is the fact that the stadium is full every single bullfight for the entire time, you know, and the way a bullfight works is you tease the bull for 5 minutes, you poke him for 5 minutes, then you spear him for 5 minutes, then you kill him the next 5 minutes. Then you get a 5-minute intercession, and then they do it all over again. So I was impressed by the mechanical nature of that event, but learned from it, and then probably won't go back, like I said. But again, be open to these cultural experiences that maybe you're not so comfortable with, but fills up with however many thousand Spanish people every week. So something to note as well. Try out your time. I don't know if you guys, at Notre Dame, they require you to study 2 years of language before you go over. I don't know if that's the same here. But even if you just know a few words, as soon as you show that you can connect to the people that you're around and kind of show them that you respect their culture enough in order to kind of go outside your own boundaries, it really means a lot. And you can make friends like these 2 guys instantly. I heard them speaking. These guys are just, it was on the 10-minute boat ride into Venice from outside on their little vaporettos. It's just like a bus, but it's a boat, and it goes around since there's obviously no roads in Venice. I introduced myself saying, hey, how you doing? My name's Andy. What are your guys' name? Turns out the sister's name was Margherita, which means cheese pizza in Italian. So I was like, I bet I know what your favorite pizza is. And but yeah, no, these guys were great. I figured my Italian level was about theirs, so I figured why not give it a shot, you know. And this is one of my groups that we tour guided. Quick note about going off the beaten path. This was a best of Europe family-friendly tour that started in Rome, kind of went through Italy, through the Alps, and then ended in Paris. But the first night, this girl's parents came to me, these two guys, very nice family, and they said, Andy, Ashley's been saving up all year to buy a nice pair of sunglasses and some nice perfume. She's been working double shifts, babysitting all she could in order to pick this up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll let you know when a good time to pick it up. So we spent a couple days in Rome. Then our day trip to Florence, she gets back on the bus with everybody else, and she's pretty excited. And she says she got the stuff, and I was like, oh, that's great. The next day, I smelled her, and I'm a guy who generally likes perfume. I think perfume smells nice, but something was weird about the way she was smelling. Turns out she showed me the box, and it was Eau pour Homme, which means cologne. She went on the main drag in Florence, unfortunately, and went into a shop. I think it must have been Dolce & Gabbana, the kind of place where the people working there don't really give any, don't care anything for you and just want to get you in and out the door and want your cash, you know. So of course it's a girl buying cologne. They would not go out on a branch to make sure that's what she wants to buy, you know. So she spent all this money on something that she didn't really intend to buy. So it was unfortunate, but again, if she just went down a side street and around the corner, you know, she would have met a mom and pop that would have gladly explained to her what was in her hand and what she was going to buy, you know. So kind of extrapolate that to whatever experience you guys might have down the road, and I can promise you'll have a better experience. You'll meet people that are kinder to you, and you'll probably spend less money, because if everybody's going the same street, down the main street in Florence between the Accademia and Uffizi, they can charge really whatever they want. So just something to keep in mind. Long lecture about that. But so tour guided for a couple summers, and up until I was 21, before I went abroad, I would stay between 3 and 4 or 5 days in each spot. You know, that's one type of tourism. What I was super excited about studying abroad was that I got to camp out in one spot and really get to know the people that I was around. And as soon as I got over there, I got a poultry lady at the market, and who would she began to know my order, which was really exciting, and a vegetable guy, a produce guy who would know my order again as well, that I'd pick up at the corner market every morning on the way back from school. So it was a wonderful experience to actually kind of dig myself into the locals, the culture that I was around. So, and great thing about studying abroad, are you guys going to have 3-day weekends by chance? Maybe, yeah. We did too in Rome. So we'd take off like Thursday night and travel, and that's where we went to. I traveled 13 out of my 17 weekends I was abroad, and I had a girlfriend in Dublin at the time, so that's why I went there 3 times. But let's see. The first weekend took a night trip up to the Swiss Alps. Again, this is just above the town where I was a Santa Claus. Maybe second to these mountains right here, but I don't really know. I haven't skied these guys quite yet. But this was absolutely spectacular. This is a panorama view right here, going all the way around. I felt like I was in a ski simulator. You know, I'd going down one mountain range, looking at one across. It was just amazing. I could have spent weeks up there. I loved it. And this was the very top of the ski route or whatever. Probably the toughest, most dangerous skiing I've ever done. Up here, you can see the track. Of course, it's icy because it's so cold up there. You mess up on the right, you fall down a cliff. You mess up on the left, you have a really long way to fall. And then it's not quite a cliff, but you're gonna land on ice. So a lot of fun, but it was pretty intense. I was glad to get down it, you know. Yeah. If anybody, again, after the talk, if anybody wants to know exactly where to find places like this, just let me know. You'll get my email and everything. Search out places during their cultural events and go to them because of it, or avoid them because of it. For Carnivale, we chose to go to Venice, and they just have a world-renowned festival. It was absolutely spectacular. The costumes, as you can see, were awesome. We got in some fights with silly string with little Italian kids. Again, we were making friends. And then if you go into a costume party, make sure you blend in a little bit. So that's my friend. We took a picture of him anywhere we went, and that weekend for souvenir's sake. And it was pretty cool. That thing was like €2, and it really got a lot of laughs. But again, search out cultural experiences. So I went to St. Paddy's Day, or Dublin for St. Paddy's Day. Turns out this is a high school that's just down the road from. I actually played these guys in high school football back in the day. They're just outside of the Seattle area. Anybody watches The Office? This is Shorecrest. That's the same high school where Dwight went. So funny side story. But these guys are the Shorecrest Highlanders, I think, and they come to Dublin every few years, and so it's fun to see them. But let's see what else. To kind of do something other than the hectic travel every weekend thing, or try and hit 5 destinations during our spring break, we decided to go to Sicily and just rent an apartment between 6 or 7 of us friends, and had a great time. Bring your hobbies with you, like I said. I bought a entry-level Italian bike the weekend I came into Rome, or a couple weekends after, and then had my parents mail me over my cleats and pedals and helmet and Notre Dame jersey. I rode for them the last 5 years. But I would pack up my bike and bring it with me anywhere I'd go on the train. That's the bike in the box up top. Quite an acrobatic feat to get it up there, but I really enjoyed it. I did some of the best cycling in my life, and what the awesome thing was is that I would bump into other cyclists on the road, and again, this is the whole meeting people in other countries with other backgrounds who are excited about the same thing you are, and you make a connection that you just wouldn't make otherwise. And so definitely, I don't know, ladies, if you're into shoes or something, search out your favorite designer and try and find their factory or something like that. I don't know, but you can kind of take that as you will. Sit down on a bench with some old guys, and again, try out your language skills. My dad has a classic picture of him a few years older than me, where I am now, and he's sitting next to a bunch of old guys too. So it's kind of father-son cliche thing. But this was just about the time of when it was getting down to Obama and Hillary in the election. So these guys, of course, very conservative backgrounds, both were revolutionary ideas to them. A woman president or a black president, they just didn't understand anything. So it was hard for them to wrap their mind around it. And so it was fun to kind of sit down with them, explain what was going on stateside, and kind of get their opinion from it. It's amazing how much Europeans know about our culture, and conversely how little we know about theirs. Like I could name the president of Italy, but not much more than that. I wouldn't know when an election's going on or anything. But to show them that you've kind of gone outside your comfort zone, like I said, is a great sign of respect to them. And also you get to trade hats for sunglasses with the old guy sitting on the bench. So I thought he had a pretty sweet cap. But yeah, that's that. Going back to cultural events, we held out to go back to the Cinque Terre. That's the 5-town spot that I told you, with all my friends. Until the very last weekend, we were over there spring semester. So we wanted it, of course, to be as warm as possible. Turns out that particular weekend was an Italian national holiday. So these trails were just packed with Italians. And you can see I stopped my friends here to take a shot of them, and I ran up around the trail. But look at the traffic jam I caused all the way back. So if I was going to do it again, I'd make sure not to go there for that holiday in order to kind of avoid the crowds. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, something else the reason why I've started Weekend Student Adventures WSA Europe is because for that ski trip, like 10 friends tagged along with me, but by the end of the semester, people were finding out where Andy was going, and all of a sudden, I was making reservations for over 30 friends to come with me to the Cinque Terre. So it just felt like a natural progression to see what I could make out of this, and I'm pretty excited about moving forward. Again, go outside your boundaries metaphorically, but we climbed down and did some cliff jumping here. Of course, I don't endorse this, neither does Notre Dame or BYU, but yes. We went cliff jumping, and I ended up jumping just because I was tired of being scared out of my mind on the rocks. But of course, we watched locals jump first, and then kind of learned from them, talked to them about how to do it. And then, so that was the lower jumping point. We could have jumped from where they're filming, actually. So it was pretty exciting. Again, practice your Italian. Cafe and bar culture is huge in Europe, and Italians and Europeans do it very responsibly. And it's always a fun way to make friends if you're just sitting down at a cafe with an espresso. And again, practice your Italian and keep in touch with the people you met. I actually came home after I studied abroad, and then went back over to Europe for a summer study abroad session in design in Milan. And I stayed in touch with this guy, and he actually invited me out for a barbecue at his family's place the weekend I was there. So that was pretty cool, and it was one of those unique experiences that you just couldn't plan for, one that just happens to you rather than you seeking it out. Then once our semester was over, we figured, hey, we're over here anyways, why not extend it by a couple weeks? So me and my friends looked into booking a sailboat in Greece. Turned out a week-long sailboat trip with a skipper was just about as expensive, split between 6 people, was as expensive as just staying in a hostel in Athens. So we got on a boat, tried to fish for our dinner. That was our idea, but we ended up just keep losing the lures and everything over and over again. So that was unfortunate. We found Super Paradise Beach, and that was our boat here on the left. You know, it was tight quarters. It was 11 days on the water to get to our first island the first day with 4 or 5 foot chops. So I made it to hour 10, and then my friends know I don't like mayonnaise, so they started spoon feeding each other in front of me, and that's when I lost it. So gave something back to the ocean, you know. But that was just, I don't feel good even just talking about it now. I really don't like mayonnaise, but. Then after Greece, we went over to Istanbul, me and another friend, and this is a whirling dervish. Again, this is one of those cultural experiences that you might not understand, might find it difficult to grasp, but this is actually a religious experience for these guys, and I'm not quite sure, maybe the audience as well, but so it's important to be respectful of things that you're not familiar with, and also take it all in, just enjoy it, and it was pretty cool. Seeing that, you know, because it's really a cornerstone of that culture. Bring your hobbies with you. Again, I enjoy taking pictures. As you might notice, I had a nice little travel SLR, a Nikon D40, and the spice bazaars in Istanbul are absolutely spectacular. So it was so much fun to mess around with the colors, the depth of field, and all that, and I actually got some great shots. So I enjoyed that for sure. Then the end of the great semester, this was my last sunset in Istanbul, and then I flew out the next morning early, so that was a lot of fun. A few tips just to wrap it up. I would love to answer any of your specific questions, but let's run through these really quick. Watch out for creepers. This is a real shot in a normal club in Dublin, so like even in normal places, you'll still see people really break it down on the dance floor, like you couldn't imagine. Is anybody going to Rome by chance in the near future? Maybe. You're going to Italy, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's make this a larger scenario then. Make friends with locals because they might get you into the Swiss Guard induction ceremony inside the Vatican. So let's put it that way. So he's just a guy who runs a student sandwich bar in Rome, and right behind the Vatican. If anybody's passing through there, definitely check it out. Anyways, but at Notre Dame we have a thing called the Irish Guard. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but if you watch a football game where the guys in the kilts and the red jackets. Anyways, that's how I was captain this last year. That's how an Irish Guard posed next to the Swiss Guard, and that was my date to the induction ceremony. So it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. These guys actually like grabbed a flag and like swore an oath like right in front of everybody. It was really cool. Again, one of those unique experiences that you just can't plan for. The day before, he's like, "Hey, I have all in Italian, actually Roman dialect, which is near impossible to understand for a textbook taught Italian student." But he was like, "Hey, I have two tickets for the next day. Do you have any plans?" And so I just jumped right on it, and it was pretty cool. Anybody watch Jersey Shore? Okay, maybe this one wouldn't resonate. But remember that whatever signals that you send in whatever situation, when you're in a different culture, can be interpreted in a different way. So if you smile at a guy in the States, it might just mean, "Oh, that's a nice smile." But somebody in a Mediterranean culture, it might mean something completely different. And if you want to get on a moped after a bar, that's one thing, and like hats off to you. But just be aware of the signals that you're sending as you're conversing with somebody, talking to them, and that goes for guys too. Be careful, guys. Make some friends with old guys. You guys seen this picture? Nothing new to say. And get off the beaten path. This was, let's see. I did a language course in Sicily a few summers ago, and rented a moped, and this was actually where the point went from a highway to a county road to a road to like a grave path and then a gravel path, and then just kind of petered out. And I thought it was going to come out on the other end, but here I was like 20 kilometers into this trail. And so like I couldn't really have been any more off the beaten path there. But again, take that metaphorically and see what you can make of it yourself. I'd love to hear what you end up doing. This is what's up on andysteves.com right now. After studying abroad, I saw a huge kind of gap for information geared towards college students who are studying abroad. Kids that have 3-day weekends that want to travel, that care about how they're going to get there, where they're going to stay, how they're going to eat, and what are the key sites and activities that they got to see. So that's up there right now. It's completely free. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it as well. Some sweet links. I can get this all to you if anybody's interested. Just email me, and then I think that's it. Thanks everybody. I appreciate it, and sorry again for being so late. That was great, but thanks for having me.
Okay, we have time for a few questions. I've got a mic. If you've got questions, let's talk. So let me do this.
Shoot.
Can I have any questions from the audience? Yeah, Lee.
Or if I can go into any more detail on a point or a question.
I have a question. Where that ski resort was?
Yeah, Gemmelwald. Gemmelwald. I can write it down for you if you'd like. Yeah, it's like Interlaken is the more famous town down at the bottom of the valley, and then you take a train, a bus, and a gondola halfway up the mountain to get there. So, absolutely a must-see in the summer or the winter. Probably not in the middle where it's all muddy, but yeah, definitely check it out. Thanks.
Of all the places you've been so far, what would you say is the one place that no one should miss?
Very good question. It really depends what you're looking for and what your background is and what you're excited about. You know, if you're looking for big, hectic, chaotic city, Rome is awesome, and like the culture is still like palpable almost. You know, like you're gonna get almost hit by mopeds every minute of the day, but you gotta learn to love it. You know, if you're looking for a more relaxed experience, I would say it's just a small town in Ireland. You know, where you can actually like sit down and kind of take in the history of the place and maybe meet somebody that you wouldn't otherwise have happened. You know, it's really up to you to kind of decide what you're interested in and pursue that if you're going to go over there. Yep.
What's the best food?
Italy, by far. By far. And the French, I can't complain about French food, but don't go to the UK for good food, that's for sure.
So, do you have any tips for traveling light for those families on the weekend?
Traveling light?
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about exactly what you need and don't bring anything else. You know, because like that means 2 pairs of shoes tops. If you're plus, if you're trying to get into a nice club or something, wear like nice shoes. You know, that's key in Italian culture. And then maybe 2 shirts, one pair of pants, one pair of shorts, and a toothbrush. You know, you don't really need much more than that. Something to think about. I'm a boy. I am a boy. But think about it. If you're going for a weekend, you know what I mean. Like maybe double that for a girl, because I know you need choices. I know you need choices. So I have a little sister, and she's survived. My dad's like a Nazi about packing light, and he'll actually go down and watch her pack and make sure she's only bringing what she needs. You know. So, but yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Where'd you go for spring break?
Cefalù. Yeah, if you imagine Sicily as like a triangle, it's right in the smack dab middle of the top side. So about an hour and a half away from Palermo, I think. And Sicily's safe, let me say. It's completely safe. You really gotta, this goes for anywhere in Europe, you really gotta seek out trouble if you're, for you to get into trouble. You know, you really gotta go out of your ways. So don't worry about the mafia, Cosa Nostra, or anything that's really, they keep to themselves and don't want to have anything to do with you. Cool. All right, guys.
We don't have any more questions. We want to thank again Andy for coming out to see us today here at BYU. Please come up and meet him, and then before you leave, we've got a Kennedy Center water bottle for you, so you can remember BYU wherever you are in the world.
Love it. Love it. I'll bring it with me. I need a new one.
So, thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody's going abroad next year, I have